if you earn reps, we're going to play you.
Yep.
And we're not going to play you based on what you did last year. We're not going to play you based on anything else other than what you do right here and right now. And I think the players saw that we stood by that.
Mm-hmm.
We played a lot of different lineups on both sides. As you said, we got a lot of looks at people. There's guys that I think played really well that are going to have a chance to earn more and more reps as time goes on. And there's just so much competition within this team right now, which I'm really, really excited about. But the guys handled it well. Sometimes the lineup changes and all that you maybe sacrifice some rhythm at times. And I thought when I went back and watched the film, I thought a few of our mistakes, if we're not rotating as many guys, are probably honestly a little bit cleaner. And could we have went into that game as coaches, played a few less guys, maybe had a little bit more rhythm, and maybe eliminated a few of the mistakes because of that? Probably so. But you're also setting up for a long run here, and this is a long season. You're going to need a lot of these guys, and to be able to keep this competition going right now was important, and I'm glad we stuck to it.
Yeah, and it really feels like every position except for quarterback, you're playing multiple guys, and there's multiple guys that can go home and say, hey, I should be that starting dude. You say you never know what you have, but I'm sure there's a position group that sticks out of, hey, we learned a lot about this group against San Jose State. Which group is that across the team?
I would say linebacker. I'd say the defensive front seven. I would. I think the amount of pressure, specifically the amount of push, consistently from the defensive line. We had the quarterback moving around quite a bit, and it wasn't just one guy, right? Last year for us, it was more one guy. This was consistent. And it was across the board and a lot of people getting involved. There was a lot of exciting things to see there. We still made some mistakes there, but you see kind of what we've been building. You see like just the beginning. You see the sparks, right? And now we've got to get that thing full bore. And I feel really the same way from the linebackers. We made a couple of plays that were phenomenal that I don't know that we make at any point, in the season before. We made a couple of critical mistakes that – there's 2 or 3 plays from the linebacker position that directly attributed to 21 points. And we can't make those, but seeing the way we fly around, seeing the way these guys approach it, seeing the competition in the room, I think they're going to get corrected quick, and I think these guys are going to get better fast.
It says something when you're saying mistakes that you're smiling ear to ear. That must be a good sign.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live. One thing we didn't talk about, none of us talked about last week, but I'm sure you've thought about the rule change, that the clock's no longer stopping on a first down. I noticed it in the fact that the first quarter was over in about 5 minutes. There were some other issues throughout the game that sort of made the overall game time fairly normal. Have you thought about it? Did you notice it in terms of the flow of the game and the rhythm of it all?
Yeah, the review at the end was longer than the first quarter. I'll go ahead and say it.
Better you than me.
Yeah. You felt it a little bit. I didn't feel like it was drastic. I could feel throughout the game that there was probably going to be, 1 to maybe 2 possessions less offensively. And then obviously the kick return kind of flipped that around a little bit. But yeah, you could definitely feel it a little bit. I remember, and I expected it. It's been good having, Coach Kingsbury in there with us because they've been used to playing with the running clock on first downs for a long time. And so we've talked a lot about that and what it'll feel like. And I felt like our guys and our staff were prepared for it.
Coach, a lot of young guys got some action, especially some freshmen. You think about Alani Noah and obviously Zachariah Branch got in there and make some spectacular plays. How do those young freshmen do? Because that's always, from going from high school to jumping into starting a college football game, it's a dramatic jump. How did those young guys fare?
Yeah, Zachariah obviously, made several big plays and I thought played pretty consistent for his first game as a freshman. I was proud of the way he played. I thought the 2 other guys that started, Tackett Curtis and Alani, they both made some plays that made you understand why you started them, and then they both made some plays where they looked like freshmen and made a few mistakes. And those 2 guys, though, they're going to learn from it fast and grow, and there's a ton to be excited about with those guys. I thought I thought some young guys came in there and did some nice things. Zion did some nice things. Christian Pierce had some really good plays on special teams and continues to push, I think, to be a factor for us defensively. Elijah Hughes, right, showed up on the defensive front.
Yeah.
Had a big TFL, got held or would have had a second one, I think, on his very first play in there. So he was one of those guys that we're watching on Sunday that we were pretty excited about. Quentin Joyner obviously ran the ball well. Deuce made some really nice plays. We didn't quite find Lemon a few times, Mekhi Lemon, but he was there. There were some young guys that made some noise and did some nice things in their first action.
Yeah, you mentioned all those guys. The past 2 years here at the receiver room, we've had a true number one receiver. When Drake London 2 years ago, and Jordan Addison last year. This year, I mean, we'll see how things unfold. But for you, how does that change when maybe you have a number one guy, we got to feed him the rock, versus a list of 9 to 10 dudes where you probably feel comfortable giving them all the rock on any given play?
Yeah, I mean, you'd rather it be this way where you have more options because again, you go throughout the year. We saw it last year with our receiving core, right? You're gonna have some guys get injured. You're gonna have different matchups, and when you've got matchups all over the field that you feel like have a chance to be advantages for you, I think it's a great thing. And yeah, well, like you said, we'll see how it plays out. Somebody may really separate and go to the top of that, or it may even out. And honestly, we just want the production. We don't really care a whole lot who it comes from.
Trojans are back at it on Saturday afternoon. Week 1, game 2 for the Trojans. Week 1 across college football, USC versus Nevada. 3:30 kick. We'll go on at 1:30 with the Trojan Tailgate Show. Coach will break that down with us in the next segment. Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the Beast. And Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. More Lincoln Riley, more Trojans Live coming up next. And did you know the Ralph's app gives you easy access to weekly sales and personalized coupons, and you can earn fuel points too? Check out the app today and save while you cheer us on to another great season. Ralph's, proud partner of USC Athletics. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and the head coach Lincoln Riley here on Trojans Live. You always want to see that jump from game one to game two. Any particular areas where you're looking to see the biggest jump of improvement?
Yeah, I would say honestly, a lot of I would say two areas. I think certainly your younger / newer players to play a cleaner game, and then I would say the excitement that I kind of referenced in the first segment, based upon all right, you turn on the film, you see potential, you see good players running around, like you see capability. We got to start, and every team does, but we've got to start transitioning from that to units that look like a well-oiled machine, right? That are completely in sync. That you don't sit there and notice all the guys. You notice how well they all play, but more importantly, how well they play together. And that's been the emphasis point for coaches and players here in the beginning of the week, and will be throughout the week. Is we've got to be more cohesive. We've got to play in sync. We've got to use each other a little bit more. And there's a lot of examples on all three sides where guys are doing some really good things, but it's just a tick off from not being in sync. And that's any great unit that you think about on any side of the ball, like to me, they have that, right? They know exactly where each other are at. Guys feed off of one another. Guys play off of one another. And we've got to build that and become a little bit more cohesive.
Coach, defensively, I'm watching the film this morning, and you see the amount of points. You're like, maybe you don't want San Jose to score that many points in the game. But to me, it's 4, 5, 6 plays where you're watching, and you're just like, if they clean that up, it's a much different ball game. So I know some fans are probably freaking out, but I'm watching the film thinking, whoa. So as a coach, how do you install that in the players moving for this week? Is it like more ME stuff, or is it physicality stuff? What are the issues that those 4 or 5 plays you away from having a better defensive performance?
Yeah, we like the physicality. You always want more of that, right? I don't know that you ever get there in terms of that, but I think our mistakes weren't physical. Our mistakes were a couple of times lack of communication. And a couple times missed assignments. Yep. And we honestly played for the motions and shifts and all the things that they did. Our guys played a pretty clean game. It's like the 3 or 4 big mistakes that we had, they did a good job of finding it. Like the first third and 22, it's like we come out of a gap. And Mason Cobb is right there. He's either he's gonna sack the quarterback, and that gap should not even be remotely open. And now all of a sudden it's, well, coach, shoot, that was a great call. Now you knocked him out of field goal range and pushed him all the way back. And that's so yeah, those are that's exactly right. You can go back and watch the film and see the potential. You see that honestly, a lot of it was us getting after them pretty good. Yep. But yeah, you're right. You got to correct those, and that's football. That's football against good teams. That's football against good quarterbacks that have darn near 50 starts. That's what's going to happen. And so we got to clean it up. We got to own it. We'll own the bad, but we're going to own the good too. And there's a lot of good, and it's going to get better.
When you talk about playing as a unit, no position group is that more important than an offensive line. Obviously, I think you played 5 different rotations before getting into that final group, which I've never seen that. How do you approach that in the weeks to come? Are you drawing a line in the sand, like we have to have a clean 5 at this point, let it play out naturally? Is it going to get condensed week to week? What's the overall approach there?
That's going to depend on the guys in the room. It's competition. If we're hopeful at some point that some guys will separate themselves, but they got to do it too. We're not going to, we're not just going to just hand it to somebody just because. You got to earn the right to be a starter and to be in that group, just like you do any other group. And we've got some talented guys. We've got some guys I think that are close to doing it, but they need to push past the edge. And it's like we have a handful of guys that have their strengths are really good, but who's going to really improve on their weaknesses? Who's going to go take, maybe a question mark that you have in your head about, all right, can he do this or can he do that, and go answer that and go take this thing over. And so we've delivered that message loud and clear. We got to see a lot of guys. We expect a lot of improvement here this week. And then I think as that happens and this competition goes, I think it'll naturally start to settle in.
it was fun seeing so many different guys play, and one guy who stood out literally and seeing him for the first time was Deuce Robinson. He is huge. I mean, he's just huge. You stand down at field level, the basketball guys were down there promoting, and that's who he looked like. He looked like he was ready to play power forward at the Galen Center. He's obviously can play baseball too, which is wild, huge for that sport. But how do you view him? How do you view him as a piece? I mean, I know he's listed as a wide receiver. Came in as sort of a hybrid kind of player. He's so unique. How do you view him as an offensive play caller?
Yeah, he's a fun skill set. I mean, there's a reason why we recruited him for basically 4 years. He's a special kid. He's got a great skill set. I think we'll start to scratch the surface here on what all he can do. I believe with all freshmen, you've got to carve out an initial role for them, let them get settled into whatever your system is, and then I think as time goes on, the ability to move them around or find different ways to use them, I think that'll grow, and so that's what we've tried to do with Deuce. But yeah, I was excited to see him go in there and play well, made some big catches, and you're right. I mean, you see it on the field. It just the matchup out there is so unique. You just don't see that very often with a guy that big, and you guys got to watch it around here with Drake a few years and how dominant he was. And, these guys, there's probably some similarities. Deuce is maybe a little bit bigger than Drake, but obviously Drake was a phenomenal player. But, yeah, we're excited about the matchup. And I think as he learns and progresses and proves himself more, he'll have an opportunity to have more and more roles as we go on.
Coach, Nevada coming in to Coliseum this weekend. How do you expect this game to go? Is it more of the same? We'll see some rotation. We'll see some guys in there. Or are you going to start tightening it up a little bit and see, hey, these are maybe some of the guys we're going to be rolling with this year?
Yeah, I think it'll be slightly less in terms of maybe planned rotations. We kind of knew, even going into the beginning of last week, that's what we wanted to do. Now, some of it will be determined by how these guys respond from the week of practice. You're now going to have a full game film, a whole nother week after that to see, all right, who's taking in these lessons, right? Who's making the improvements? Who's really doing something about it? And so it's certainly going to start to trend more towards, prove it. And there's not going to be just we're not going to do rotations just because. If there's a reason to do it, we will. But these guys need to start proving, again, who's going to make these big jumps and so that we know who we can count on.
I'm sure when you see Zachariah Branch make the plays that he made, the offensive play caller creative juices start rolling, and I'm sure that changes week to week. But for you, is there a concept or a pass play that always makes the call sheet? That's your favorite, your go-to, the one you always got to have in there?
That's a good question. There's a couple that most weeks we try to have in there, and even I could think of a couple that even sometimes, like, we get to the end of the week and it's not there and it just doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? It's like, we got to have that security blanket back in there. So, yeah, we've got a few. But, the skill sets change so much throughout the years that each group kind of finds its own thing, and what may be something you love one year just because this person's different, or maybe people playing you a little different, that it doesn't necessarily always carry over. So we had a few things like that last year that kind of started as one-offers that became major concepts for us that we used over and over. And my gut is with this group, the skill sets being a little bit different than what we had last year, that some of that will evolve, which is always fun.
All right, game 2 coming up Saturday. Officially, we are celebrating the Coliseum's 100th birthday as well. So get to the Coliseum, USC versus Nevada. A 3:30 kick, and we will go on with the Trojan Tailgate Show presented by Yeti at 1:30. Coming up next on this show is Austin Jones. Thanks to the coach. Back with more Trojans Live next. Jones, the best of the game, is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises. Austin Jones here with Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, and Max Brown. Nice to start the season, touching pay dirt a couple times. How'd you feel out there in your first game back?
It felt good. I mean, everybody's kind of back in there rocking and stuff. Felt like we're back at home, back ready to roll, with the team and everything like that. Finally getting out there to, really get a good first game in with the guys. I mean, it felt great.
Austin, you get 2 touchdowns on Saturday, and you're kind of getting you kind of have an MO now, man. It seems like when you get down to the end zone and give a ball to Austin Jones, you're going to get in. What is there a knack? Do you have a knack for getting in the end zone? Is there something different about running back to that special thing that can get him in the end zone and cross that pay dirt?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to smell blood in the water. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you get down close, you have to score. Like, when we get to the point.
Does anything change in, your technique or anything? Or you're running hard, obviously, every play, but
yeah.
Is anything like, I'm going to get in the end zone?
No, I mean it's a slightly different mentality, especially when you're right there. Especially, we're down there probably around, the 3 and the 5. Like, that's a totally different game than it is around, the 10, the 15.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, you know what I'm saying, you just see a crease and you just hit it. Like, it's going to hit a lot quicker and a lot tighter. So at that point, you just see the hole, go get it, and, smell blood in the water for sure.
Last year was a duo between you and Travis Dye. This year it seems like it's you and Marshawn Lloyd. How is that dynamic different, and how have you had to approach maybe the running back room as a leader differently this year than last year?
I'd say it's kind of switched roles. Travis obviously was older, so it's like he was the old head in the group, and then now it's now I'm the older head in the group. So the dynamic is still cool, though. Now kind of being older, because last year we didn't really have any freshmen like that, so it's we have Raleigh, but that was really it. But now it's we have 2 freshmen and everything, so now I'm actually really old, what I'm saying? I see the master splinter different light and stuff. So just being a leader and teaching those guys every single day, and then being around Marshawn, he's also a great person to be around. Barlow, that's my guy. So each day, what I'm saying, learning from each other, just kind of figuring stuff out.
College is crazy now. How many years older are you than the freshmen?
They're 18, I'm 22, so 4 years old.
Oh, you're only 22, so you're still young. Because some of this stuff is crazy. Like, I saw the Notre Dame quarterback is 3 years older than the Colts quarterback.
Gosh.
No, that's unreal.
That's true.
So, that with all the COVID years and the transferring and injuries, all that stuff, it's crazy how that can happen now. Well, what's your relationship like with those guys? How do you relate? We saw, maybe a little bit more than we thought we were going to see with Quentin Joyner getting out there. What's your relationship like with the freshmen? What's the scouting report on those guys?
Every single guy, they have their own kind of, different type of thing. Like, Quentin, he doesn't really talk that much. He's real low key and stuff. So you gotta have to pry stuff out of him. But he kind of came out of his shell. Amarion, super fun, goofy. Barlow, that's my dude since I've been here. So, and then Marshawn, he was quiet at first, and then now he came out of his shell too. So it's each day you're just learning different stuff and new things about each other. So it's definitely a different dynamic for sure.
What has the offensive line shuffle been like for the running back situation? Obviously, you get in there every huddle and it looked like maybe on Saturday there was a new group of guys in there. Is it hard getting the chemistry with everybody, or is it you're just toting the rock anyways?
Yeah, it doesn't really change much for us. You know what I'm saying? Our reads are our reads, and whoever's in, we expect them to do just as good as a job as whoever stepped up. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really change much for us. We continue just to push forward.
So much has been made about how deeper this team is, especially at least from our seat, maybe the front 7 defensively. Do you feel that in practice? Did you feel that throughout the offseason of, hey, maybe even if I am running with the 2s, that this 2s unit is at a different level than where it was at a year ago?
Absolutely. I think as a whole, we honestly, obviously, like I said, we had dudes from last year obviously come back, and then adding on the talent that we did, it just felt it's a different feel for sure. There's a lot of competition at each position every single time. So it's every day you got to show up and come with your A game every single day, because you're getting the best of the best each day.
Yep.
You're listening to Austin Jones on Trojans Live, and let's dig into that word, competition. How do you approach it? Because, these are your friends, your teammates in that room, but at the end of the day, there's only one ball to go around, and, they bring in Marshawn Lloyd, clearly, to compete with you for that top spot. These kids didn't come here to sit and watch you guys run. There's just so much competition in these rooms. How do you approach it?
I guess for myself, I look at it in a different light. Football is something that we do, but it's not who we are. At the end of the day, those are still my friends and people that I enjoy to be around and hang around. So at the end of the day, we get on the field. We're just, out there having fun and just playing. We don't necessarily look at it as oh, I'm trying to beat this guy out. it's kind of just you go take it each day, and then whatever kind of shows up, it shows up. But each day is just another grind, another competition day, really.
You guys are able to put a bunch of points up on Saturday, although you talked to coach, and the coaches always have, they got to clean everything up. It's got to be it's never a perfect game for them. So what do you guys learn? What was the message going into week 2 for Nevada next week?
We just got to just play a cleaner game. I felt like offensively we kind of had like a little small lulls here and there. I mean, we played well. We put up a lot of points, but I mean, like, obviously, like when you go back and watch the film, like we could have done a lot better and put up a lot more points, and definitely could have had a smoother game, for sure.
Well, great start to the season. Austin Jones was in the end zone twice. USC's offense hung 56, and they're back out there on Saturday against Nevada. When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all bueno. Stone Buena Mesa Salt and Lime Lager is Baja-inspired and imported from San Diego, located near you at find.stonebrewing.com. When we come back, we will take a little bit of a break from football. We'll talk about another one of USC's great teams, women's golf, always in contention. Last year, they were right there in large part due to Catherine Park. She will join us next on Trojans Live.
Quality works hard to be the best in the game and is proud to support those striving to be the best in theirs. Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of USC Athletics, helping the world keep promises.
Covering the Trojans on the field.
Caleb keeps it, rolls right, steps up, steps back, steps forward.
Moving is damn near impossible. Luckily, they do it from behind the mic. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
Back on Trojans Live, the Women's Spotlight is brought to you by Sprouts Farmers Market. Open 7 days a week. Visit your neighborhood Sprouts for good-for-you groceries and great prices on the freshest produce. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, and Catherine Park joins us now. Welcome to the show. Catherine, coming off an incredible freshman season. You were the national runner-up in the individual competition. The team was also a runner-up, so you were so close, but that's a great way to get it started. Tell me what it was like. I was watching you in the individual, and you were going up against Rose Zhang, who, if people don't know, is maybe the most accomplished collegiate golfer on the women's side ever. And you're going toe-to-toe with her. What was that experience like for you?
It was great because I grew up with Rose because she's like my best friend. So we grew up together playing golf every day. So it was more like I like not like a rivalry, but it was more like a friendly, not a friendly competition, but it was nice to actually go against her because that was her last like collegiate tournament.
Yeah.
Which was kind of emotional for all of us because like we were kind of crying, but it was great because like I did have a long run and there were like some shots I could have done better, but overall it was like a great experience. Like I loved it, like every part of it, the moment too, like getting together, especially over there and like how we played as a team. It was great. Yeah.
So when you get that close, is that the motivation for this year to get to that top spot and take the team all the way to the top?
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, like this year we won Pac-12s last year, so that's like another goal.
Yep.
And nationals were so close, so that's like another goal that we have. And we have we have two great incoming like freshmen. So our roster is perfect right now.
Yeah.
Like it's great. Like we all get along, so we're so excited.
You played in the U.S. Women's Open at Pebble Beach this year. I watched the Sunday coverage there with Allison Corpus. USC Trojan won it all, which was amazing. What was that experience like playing in Pebble, and what did you take away from that whole weekend?
Actually,
Or I guess the first 2 days, the Thursday, Friday.
I didn't play Pebble. I played the one before.
Oh,
Pebble.
my
Yeah,
mistake.
You're good.
My mistake.
But the year before that at Pine Needle, it was amazing. It was my first U.S.
Okay.
Open. It was.
Where's Pine Needle?
It's in North Carolina. It's like right across from.
That's where Pinehurst is
I was
too,
gonna
right?
say,
Yes,
yeah.
Pinehurst.
Pinehurst.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
It's the golf course right across from it.
Got
yes,
it.
yes.
Those are two phenomenal courses.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
they're amazing. Like the greens, like how the course is set up, so tricky. But it was great because it was a new experience since it's so different from collegiate golf and junior golf. But it was more of the atmosphere and like the experience that was more like surreal. Just being out there because that's like a goal and like I see like I want that to be my future, you know.
Yeah.
So it was like great seeing like a little glimpse of it. So yeah.
Describe the zone from a golf perspective. We always talk about the zone in different sports, but you know, your second round in NCAAs, you shoot a 64, and that's, you know, it's really, I mean, that was a tough golf course, so that was not an easy score to get to. What is it like on the course over the course of 18 holes to play at that level? What did that feel like?
Honestly, like that day, I remember like driving into that golf course, and one of our USC girls, like alumni, shot like 9 under at an Epson tour, and I was like in the car, Justin's driving. I was like, I'm gonna manifest this. I'm gonna shoot 9 under today, and then teed off and had a great start. But I feel like for me in general, like me getting in the zone was like not thinking about it. Like I just had a great rhythm. Like I had good numbers in, and it was like everything was working in my favor that round. So it was like putts were draining. So my zone was like, oh wow, like I didn't actually think about me shooting that low. Like I didn't even know what I was shooting that day. I was just like, oh, next shot, next putt, yeah. And having Justin with me, he didn't even bring it up. He was just like, oh, great shot. I was like, oh yeah, that's like perfect. Giving me the numbers. He's just giving me numbers.
You're telling me you had no idea you were flirting with record?
No, I had absolutely no idea. I
Good
was
on
like,
you. That means you're just
Locked
used
in.
to this. You're
The
just
zone. The zone.
playing normally.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, another round of golf.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So golf a spring sport, but it probably doesn't shut down all year. You're probably trying to get as many rounds in and working. What's the off season like for you? What kind of training stuff do you do?
Well, we still do tournaments during off season, and we have like 4 coming tournaments, but we practice the exact same. I guess more in the springtime, we're practicing more with our wedge games and like getting dialed in, but in the fall, we play more because like we do qualifiers. So that was a difference between fall and spring is what we actually work on the most, especially like our wedges. Our coaches focus a lot on our wedges, especially in the springtime, which why I think that was like a great like impact on our team because we were all like which was a great part at Greyhawk, which is our wedge game. So yeah.
So you'd say your strength is your wedge game?
It was all of us coming together with our wedge game. So like me personally, my strength is iron and drive, which is
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. But coming to college, I got so much better at putting and wedges because of our coaches, because they focus a lot on that, emphasizes a lot. So it was more just building more on my yardages because they didn't want to change anything in my golf game except for just making the ones that I could have improved much better. So yeah.
As a former quarterback, I always feel like I have to be a great putter. I feel like there's a correlation between that and good putting. I am terrible at putting. So what was the secret that when you came to SC, you became a better putter? Was it just reps, or is there a specific thing that you're focused on?
Our coach, speed. We always say Trojan speed. We focus so much
Attack.
on literally like getting like all our drills in with speed. Like that's all he focuses on, and knowing our putting like stats, because
Like when you say speed, you're talking like pace?
yeah, like pace on like how far the ball goes past the hole, how far you are short from it. Like I wasn't a very aggressive putter. I was just like in the hole or just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was worked in junior, but something I needed to build more on was having that
Finesse.
Yeah, finesse. Yeah. So Coach Justin was like, "Oh, drills, so many drills, at hours."
Putt till you get blisters.
Brianna can really putt. It was fun watching her because Rose Zhang is hitting the ball. This is in the match play when they played against each other, and Rose is just booming the ball past her. But Brianna made everything.
Oh yeah.
And you can make up so many strokes by being good on the greens.
Yes, I guess that's like what differences between good players and like just that level is short game, like short game, chipping, putting. Brianna's so good at putting, and it was so fun watching her match because it was like a big win for us, that match. It was like different, but her putting is amazing. Brianna, yeah, I look up to her with putting. I'm always like doing drills with her, saying, "Hey, help me."
Well, it was a fun ride. Congratulations on it. Have a great sophomore season. We'll all be looking out for USC women's golf, always in contention for the national championship. Don't wait until game time to plan for retirement. Open your free iTrust Capital account today and get your crypto IRA. iTrust Capital is the official cryptocurrency platform of the USC Trojans. And you want the inside scoop on this game and all things Trojans? Be sure to sign up for the 3 Torches presented by Smart & Final. It's a free newsletter that'll hit your email inbox 3 times a week with game info, player insights, and more. Go to usctrojans.com/3torches and sign up. When we come back, Keely Eure will join us for our weekly football roundtable. This is Trojans Live.
It's like getting a degree in Trojan athletics without the tuition. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
Monster Energy, the official energy drink of USC. Unleash the beast. Sean almost took the show over there.
Oh, I was ready. I've been
Technical
dreaming of that time.
difficulties.
I've been dreaming of that moment forever.
Unleash the
Jordan's
beast.
down.
My
Cody's in.
microphone. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, Keely Orr. Welcome to the football roundtable for this week, and we finally have some football to talk about. And to be quite honest, watching the game made me realize how little we knew about this team going in. There were people out there that I had no idea were going to play, and sure enough, Quentin Joyner's the third running back on this team. Didn't know that. Elijah Hughes was out there quick.
In your defense,
wasn't sure who that was. So
there was so much rotation, so much so that I
was
not expecting. I don't think we even saw that much rotation in practice at times. I was amazed by what we were seeing. I was amazed that Alani Noah got the start.
Alani Noah started, guys.
Sweet.
Especially because, the second drive, they switched guys out. And you would have expected the true freshman to be on the second drive. But no, he got the start with Gino Quinones. I was just super surprised, especially inside linebacker. You start with Mason Cobb, Tackett Curtis, and you go Mason Cobb, Eric Gentry. It was just this whole flux of things. And so it's fascinating watching that tape.
And you're seeing guys that started last year that were not the first guy to run out with their units.
Gentry as an example,
Yep, and I think that's telling not only to this culture that's being built here of you need to earn your spot in practice, but also, again, to this depth and a reason why our head coach was grinning ear to ear walking into this room, the depth that the roster has.
Last year was such a different year is when you brought all these guys in and the chemistry had to be right and they had to turn around quick. So it was like, we need to find our guys now and we need to put them in there and we need to get them battle tested and game tested and we need to go. And this year it feels so much different with that. All right, we got some guys and let's just make this a competition. Who's going to rise? It sounds like when you listen to Lincoln, who's going to rise to the top? Who's going to take these spots? And that's what you want as a football team, as a coach. That's how you get that excellent play, I think, out there.
He also preempted one of my questions to him, which was that balance between, hey, are some of the mistakes happening because you're playing so many guys? And he full on basically admitted that. And he's like, you know what? I don't care. This is a long season. And if you guys want to nitpick on the opening game, we took valuable information out of that. And we're focused on how this team's going to perform over 12 games, not on winning the media over in week 0. And I think that played out on the field. I think in a lot of times it looked like an offensive line that didn't have a ton of continuity. It looked like a defense where guys hadn't played together a ton, and you're going to get some penalties and some breakdowns when that happens.
Yeah, they definitely had respect for San Jose State, but it also felt like it was fall camp scrimmage number 3 in some aspects, just because they still had position battling out live at the Coliseum during game 1. So it was fascinating to see not only that happen, but to your point, Jordan, how open he was just a couple of minutes ago, being like, yeah, we were doing that for a purpose and for the long run. And he mentioned last year the great teams go deep into the season. And how do you go deep into the season? You have a deep roster. And so clearly they're trying to iron that out right now.
It'll be interesting to see, because of the way the schedule plays out this year, how much that's a factor in the way they approach this roster shuffling with having a bye in that week 3-4 slot. You always see it in the NFL of, hey, we're going to get to the bye and then maybe draw a line in the sand with your depth chart and whatnot. It'd be interesting to see if they do that and a backloaded schedule where your best opponents are at the end of the year.
If they had Utah schedule, Utah opens with Florida, then goes to Baylor. No. I don't think that they're having that conversation. I think that they're just finding, hey, we got to find our best 15 guys on offense and best 15 on defense, and let's rock. But they're clearly taking advantage of that luxury a little bit, and just sort of the swagger and confidence of, oh, the offense wasn't perfect. It only hung 56 up. I mean, when you've got that in your back pocket, it just felt like Caleb wasn't even unleashed on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it was great to see. I think Zachariah Branch, I think that was awesome to see. You heard about him for so long and what kind of special player he is. And on the first play of the game, he's getting the first touch, and you're like, oh, hey, this guy's real. No one's tackling him. So that's fun to watch. You've seen the young guys play out there, and all the expectations that I think you draw up in your head, like you said, Jordan. You drop in your head before you going in. Who's going to play? How's it going to roll out? And then it's totally different. You're like, holy smokes, this is something else you have to wrap your brain around. So it's always fun to get it going, and that's why I don't take anything into preseason hype or thinking about players. Every year is a new team, and I think this is even as Coach Vic, this is a totally new team than it was last year.
Concern level on defense obviously is high for the fans. Where is it for you guys?
Definitely not as high as Twitter. I'll say that. And I don't think anything is ever as reactionary as Twitter for me. But I like I said, all preseason, the front seven looks completely different. And like Lincoln said, they're actually getting pushed now. Like, it's not just one guy contributing. So that to me was not a concern at all. Corner, I'm curious how that battle's going to play out.
They're a lot younger, and I literally was going to say this on the broadcast, and then that's when Branch took the kickback, and I remember that I never finished that point. But now seeing it, because Christian Roland Wallace isn't just like locked in as a starter, now you're talking about Damani Jackson, who's basically a freshman, Jacoby Covington, who's very young, Sierre, who's very young. They're young at corner. They're pretty young across the board. I'm surprised that Christian Roland Wallace didn't really take one of those jobs. He had a nice play late in the game, so maybe he'll get more looks, or maybe they'll just count on the development of some of these guys. That spot.
Yeah, my concern level, I'd say, is just moderate and unchanged after like where I was at before the game. I think some of those same concerns exist. I'm interested to see what they do scheme-wise moving forward, where if those mistakes are happening because you're trying to be unique and creative and add an extra blitz package in there with a deeper roster, do you scale back the amount you have in that defensive depth chart or defensive playbook to try to limit those mistakes? Just fascinated to see how that comes out. Maybe guys play faster as a result. Like that's what I'm looking for in your week 2 and 3.
I think it speaks to the importance of the front seven. I think this front seven is going to be the leaders on this team. They should be, with Mason Cobb and the interior line. They think they have. I think I like the tackling. I thought the tackling seemed more concrete. It seemed like when the guy was one-on-one, I didn't see as many missed tackles. I saw a lot of things that look good and some things, MEs. I mean, MEs are going to happen in the first game, especially we got some young guys out there.
You're really into saying MEs today. Can you tell other people what that means?
Mental errors. I'm sorry. Mental errors.
Just trying to help the audience out.
Yeah,
I'm sure everyone knew what an ME.
Yeah, I was like, that's not
You're like that guy. You're like that guy in all my meetings that just loves the acronyms, and I'm sitting there going, I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
A couple mental errors. So I mean, first game of the year, it's got to get better from a standpoint. I think they faced a good quarterback in the Cordero, but it's going to get tougher from that position. So they got to get ready.
What are you looking forward to on Saturday?
Zachariah Branch Part 2?
Yeah, I mean,
is that an easy answer?
It got to a point in that game where I was just like, you sort of forgot about Caleb for a second, and I was like, the coolest guy out here right now is wearing number 1. I just want to see him touch the ball.
I mean, the fact that Caleb had 4 touchdowns, 4 passes, and you're just like, quiet day for Caleb, like, shows the star power. And I don't know if you guys heard it, but there was, I think, like, towards the end of the game, Zachariah had a chance to break free again, and just the rabid screams from the Coliseum, they wanted it so badly. And, like, that's when you know a guy is a star player, when everyone in the stands wants him to make that big play.
This could get fun quickly too, because with Zachariah Branch's skill set of being like a slot receiver and some of the RPO stuff they're doing, Lincoln could get creative in a hurry, and it could be fun to watch. I'm intrigued at the former quarterback in me, at just how the offensive line shakes out. It's not sustainable to have 5 different units, and I would imagine Lincoln's going to try to trim that down as we get. Stanford's the week after next in its conference play, so that's where I'm keeping my eye on.
There is a bye after the Stanford game, though. And sometimes
Stanford is going to be the worst Stanford team we've seen in a little while. So
I think you got to develop a defense. Somebody's got to stand up as the defensive leader, the star of that show. You need your Thule, you need your Sua Cravens. Go down the list of the star, the Troy Polamalu. Someone's got to pop out to be the playmaker. If everyone's doing their job, someone's got to pop off the film. That's got to be someone out there.
I was showing Sua some love.
I knew that was coming.
You're just trying to make sure he's nice to you on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, he picks all winners. I don't know.
He was out there just.
Oh, I saw the group
names.
text.
Oh my God!
I saw the group text.
Cody was catching strays left and right in that show.
Okay, but when you rate yourself 99.
He posted it to Instagram, too.
Better show up wearing armor to the Trojan Tailgate show on Saturday. No hurt feelings. Fight on Trojans and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Trojans Live is also sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. Our over-under final segment is next.
from the comfort of your car. It's Trojans Live on your home for Trojans football. AM 790 KABC.
People are excited.
One final segment of Trojans Live on a game week Monday. Week 1 for the world, game 2 for the Trojans. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Max Brown, Keely Yor. It's been our pleasure taking you through it tonight. Interesting to break it down with the coach, who's always a great interview. And, you make it this far, you get a treat. And the treat is the over-under. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
The over-under is presented by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC Athletics. Okay, guys. Over-under 3.5 return touchdowns for young Zachariah Branch this season. Now, he's had one already. So he would just need to have how many more, Sean?
3 more.
3 more to take the over. Very good. And the reason I got that number 4 is how many Adoree had in his final season at USC. Adoree had 2 punt, 2 kick. Adoree is the record holder. 4 punt returns for a touchdown is the career record for USC. So return touchdowns are hard to come by.
Yeah, I'm going to go under because you put that on film a couple times. I don't think he's going to get a lot of kicks.
They just stopped.
Sorry for being a downer. Sorry for being a downer.
I'm going to go over because I think if you don't kick to him, well, then you give Caleb Williams advantageous field position, pick your battle, Heisman Trophy winner, true freshman. I think he's going to get opportunities more so than if his quarterback wasn't the Heisman Trophy winner.
He actually used logic. I was just going to say over just to be fun. So
Yeah.
Let's go.
I
We're in
want to
this
see
together.
it. But, I mean, Sean's point makes sense.
What do you think, Jordan?
I mean, I do think his youth makes me believe in the over because I don't think he comes in with enough of a rep that you're just going to go.
Teams are still going to be like,
Yes.
okay, we'll give him a try.
Yeah, I do think he's going to get some touches.
Yeah, that happens 2 times, 3 times. Then you start thinking, no more
Okay,
kicks.
but then you have like a fluke happen as well, and that adds to the total.
Did Adoree
Bam.
get that with the pre-kickoff rule change? Or
No,
what?
it was you were still getting to the 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just Adoree always liked to run it back.
Yeah, he was screwed. We're doing
He
this.
was not into
Yeah.
fair catching, and Notre Dame kicked to him as a junior. So
he took some hits too.
yeah, he did early on. He did. He was happy to do it, but I always said he's a better returner than Reggie. So I always thought Adoree is the best returner I've seen at USC. Zachariah coming maybe for that throne. A pretty impressive debut. Trojans Live is a production of USC Sports Properties and Playfly Sports. Our executive producer is Drew DeHart, producer Rick Cutler, Ben Conroy in the seat tonight. Thanks so much. Herman Aguilera back at the studio. Thanks to all our crew here. Follow us all season. Jump in the chat on YouTube. We love talking to you. And join us for the Trojan Tailgate Show on Saturday. Until then, for Sean, Max, Keely, I'm Jordan. Fight on.
You can't spell victorious without USC.
4th and 9. This is the ball game. Takes the snap, steps up in the pocket, throws for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, USC.
Trojans Live.
Only
was presented by
15 more to go.
Unleash the beast. Make sure to check back in next Monday night at 7 for more Trojans Live. Exclusively on your home for all things Trojan, AM 790 KABC. And follow us on the USC Trojan Media Network. Trojans Live is an exclusive presentation of Playfly Sports on AM 790 KABC and the USC Trojan Media Network.